create to make yourself happy. The most viable song is the song that makes you cry, gives you goosebumps. You should be motivated to stir your own soul, not other people's. And then the irony is that the more you exclude other people from your process and prioritize your own reaction, the more likely they're going to like it. That's beautiful. It's like, what a relief. I don't have to worry about them. And in doing so, I serve them.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Sonically podcast where music creators educate music creators. I'm Elmo. Today we're joined by Ryan Guldemond, the lead singer and songwriter of Mother Mother. Ryan and the band have built a career on poetic chaos, existential themes, and beautifully bizarre soundscapes. In recent years, songs like Verbatim, Hayloft, and Burning Pile weren't just rediscovered on TikTok, they became anthems, especially for queer and Gen Z communities around the world. Now, celebrating 20 years since the band's inception, they've released Nostalgia, their 10th studio album, a record that returns to the spirit of their earliest work while expanding it with new emotional resonance and experimental depth. In today's conversation, we'll unpack Ryan's creative evolution, the deeply personal stories behind key tracks, and what it means to love art enough to come full circle. So without further ado, let's welcome Ryan Guldemond to the Sonically podcast.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
No problem. It's going well. And we're just so excited to dive into the story and talk about this new album that you have out. If we could maybe rewind the clock back a little bit to the beginning. Did you grow up with music in your life?
Yeah, certainly. My parents were both avid music lovers and listeners, great music in the household. I had an older brother, so that's a great recipe for absorbing cool music. Like back in the day, he was listening to like Ministry and Beastie Boys and early Metallica. And that was really cool. Led Zeppelin, and I would be very young when I was absorbing that music, like 7 or 8, and then my dad got me into the Pixies at age 10, and that kind of changed the game for me. The influence of that band.
It sounds like your parents were very supportive of curating an environment for you where you could have limitless potential to explore.
Yeah, like there was never much of a conversation about like what we should do in life or if we should be successful. It was just do what you want, like gravitate towards your passion. If you're so lucky enough to like realize you have one, and for me, music was definitely clearly the thing. And so piano lessons, guitar lessons, and free reign just to go get lost in my bedroom and play guitar all day, and not do my homework. Like that was okay.
Do you remember the time when you first discovered the process of creating music?
Yeah, I was like so young, probably like 4 or 5 years old, at the piano in my living room, um, and not even like understanding that I was like composing anything. I just remember like hitting the keys and then like hitting them again in the same way, and that in itself was like repetition, and I was creating something that had order. And I think I just always gravitated towards making stuff up. Like I was a bad student in terms of learning the repertoire. I would be given homework and piano lessons to learn this piece or that piece, and then I wouldn't do it. I would write my own little song, and I'd come back to the lesson and be like, "Sorry, I didn't do my homework, but I wrote this thing that I care for." And so, right from the get go, I was drawn to composing, I guess.
Were there lyrics that came out on the piano that day, or was it sort of just noodling around with melodies?
No, there's no lyrics. I was so shy when I was a kid that I didn't even want to speak. So singing was just way out of the question. And it was shocking to like everyone I knew that I found myself singing in a band, as a young adult. Shocking to me too. Just, it was never the thing. Um, but I was so shy that I think shy, introspective people, they do have a lot going on inside. They do have a lot to say. They just have a hard time finding the the avenue of comfort to express that. So it's ironic that like singing, which is such a unveiled and vulnerable thing to do, ended up being the best channel for that like repressed, shy inner wisdom.
Does that shy kid ever come back before you get on stage, or when you're having conversations with large groups of people or something like that?
Yeah, definitely, all the time. Like interviews. Um, I think on stage it's a little easier because it's a little more scripted. It's like you fall into the groove of the script. It's like you know how to sing these songs. Like the rock talk, I get a bit shy sometimes in those spaces. But even that, it's like you say that generally the same thing a lot of the time. But in the context of an interview where it's like you don't know what you're going to say, you're going to be put on the spot to show yourself in real time without the crutch of a script. Um, yeah, I get shy. My heart starts to race even before this one a little bit.
Well, I hope I can do my best to ease the tension a little bit.
Yeah, it's not too bad, and you're a very comforting presence. So
Oh,
thank you.
thank you. Thank you so much. Um, so moving forward, when having these records that have just gained a lot of traction throughout the world, then having sort of like this resurgence in 2020 via TikTok, all of these really cool things. But if you were to sort of look back on everything, what were some of the biggest challenges you faced in your career and how have you overcome them?
Um, I mean, it was tough just to kind of survive as a band, trying to you know provide for five adults, right? Like without having a day job. Um, so I think like the livelihood is meager um, for many many years. That can be a challenge. Interpersonal stuff is a challenge, especially like you're coming up as a 20 something. Like in your 20s, you're crazy. I was. There's so much sloppy character development, or there was for me, like into my early 30s. And then at the same time, your band is starting to like do well. There's lots of opportunity for the interpersonal stuff to go awry, and boy did it ever. And then I'm in a band with my sister. That's a whole like added complexity. um, so I think, yeah, just getting along with everyone was hard. Getting by was hard. And then how do you deal with that stuff? I think you just don't quit, right? You just keep going. You just weather the storms. um, I think it's so easy to quit stuff. Relationships, a band is a bunch of relationships. It's so easy to quit. It's so tantalizing to quit. Wipe the slate clean. But don't. You want to stay married? Don't get divorced. That's what they say.
If we could move to talking about some of the music, there are some songs in the catalog that have really been monumental for you guys. One of them in particular is Burning Pile. It's become this viral anthem of emotional release and even transformation for a lot of people. What headspace were you in when you were writing it? And did it feel cathartic in the moment, or did the catharsis come later?
It felt like an amazing song, like right away. I remember I was in my little apartment. I was living with Jasmine, who's in the band. And at that time, we were boyfriend and girlfriend, and she wasn't in the band. So this is a long time ago. And we had a date night planned. And I was at my little desk in the corner of our apartment. And, just before getting ready to go and hang out with her, just picked up a guitar, and Burning Pile kind of like just showed itself. And I just knew that it was powerful just by virtue of how I felt. And so I canceled the date night, and like, she's across the room like, "Hey, honey, like sorry, but I'm going to stick to this and see this through tonight. And it's so funny, like thinking about that, because I don't think that landed well. But then, as fate would have it, we'd break up. She'd join the band, and then many moons later, Burning Pile would change our lives.
Mm.
You know, so it's funny when you trace it back to that origin. Um, but yeah, I never think too much about like the lyrics or what it means to me so much in the moment. Like they just sort of fall out, and it's like a resonance of truth that I feel in my body without really like dissecting it.
Mm.
Like oh yeah, this is cathartic because it's helping me get through this. Like those that clarity of thought never occurs when I write lyrics, because I don't even feel like I write them. They just
Mm.
sort of happen, um, which is nice. Whenever I try to write lyrics, it's like I don't relate to them.
I mean, when you say fall out, there's no technical process at all.
Of course, there is. Yeah, like I mean, there's the initial spark, and that's when things fall out, and it's unfinished, and it's like, all my troubles on a burning pile, all lit up, and I start to smile, and like just those first two phrases, like that would fall out, and be like, oh, that's gold, that says it all. And now, like this gibberish that's coming after, yeah, I got to put on my left brain thinking cap and fashion some words to bolster this theme that fell out, and that process can be like painstaking, and weeks and weeks and weeks. They say like you can write a song in minutes, but then the lyrics can take a year, right? So yeah, that is the case.
Going back to Verbatim, one of the big lines in that song is "a man who can slap but can also stroke." So many queer and trans fans have embraced the song as kind of like a battle cry. What's it been like seeing your music become sort of this beacon for the LGBTQ community?
I mean, it was a big shocker. Like you even take like the song Verbatim, and that song is about you know dealing with the straight male experience and trying to like feel okay about your innate femininity in a society that is overly masculine and patriarchal. Um, so like it's anything but a queer anthem, um, because my experience is not that. Um, but it's beautiful that music doesn't care about the author's experience. Like it travels so much further than its origin place, and it can become about anything, and it can take root in any community or any space of humanity. And I love that all this music was written from such an abstract and like unspecific place, and found a home in this community, in this really hyper specific way. I think that's so cool.
Yeah, and it was so many years afterwards on a very unexpected piece of technology that you probably weren't even thinking about. Can you tell me what it felt like for you and the band when you saw the news about TikTok blowing things up?
Yeah, like just beyond surreal. um, it was early pandemic. um, so it felt like everything was getting smaller and everything was shutting down, and you're gearing up for like a recession within your own band, you know and yet this other thing is happening that doesn't make any sense, that yeah, it just feels like a Twilight Zone episode. um, Jumping on TikTok, an app that I'd never heard of, um, plugging in the hashtag mother mother, it's like 35 million hits on that, and then clicking the hashtag, and then just falling down the rabbit hole of hundreds, thousands of videos of young people in their bedrooms, mostly like vibing out in cosplay to all this music that we had like grown so far from. Um, yeah, surreal is a good word. And then you start realizing like you've been given this insane gift from the universe, and then you start asking yourself how to receive the gift, how to make good by the gift, how to do the right thing with the gift. And then we went down that path and have been on it for 5 years now.
Speaking of which, Hayloft universe has taken on a life of its own. When you released Hayloft 2, did you feel like you were closing a chapter or opening a new one?
I felt like maybe we were like ending our career because like doing a sequel to your viral hit just felt like such a ostensibly a bad idea. Um, so we're just like, well, let's see how this goes. But we believed in the song so much. It came from the right place. It came from that flash of creativity. It wasn't like strategized. Um, so we were just open to anything, and it was so cool to see it birth a new chapter. Um, the other day, like someone said, "What about the mom?" And I was like, I've never even contemplated that woman.
Mm.
The mom, crazy. It's like, maybe we're not done.
Do you have any new guitar riffs in the bag for that?
No, no. But it's out there somewhere in the multiverse. It needs to be plucked down. I think that'd be a worthy experiment.
Your new album, Nostalgia, is arriving at a major milestone, 20 years as a band. Um, you said that Nostalgia was created by focusing on one key question. How does it make us feel? That's both beautiful but also risky. Did that approach lead you and the band to make choices that went even more against the grain?
I mean, against the grain to me is making choices that are like intellectually based. I realize this now, like in the creative space, like making a choice because you think it's the right choice or you think it's going to create success or a positive reception with an external force is like the wrong thing. That's so unnatural to the creative force. So, it just makes so much sense that the barometer is should be like emotional. How does anything make me feel, like whether it's like a reverb trail or like a kick drum sound? Is it giving me that rush? Is it making me feel more like myself? Um, these are the questions that should be asked, like when creating, not like, are people going to dance, or are they going to like it, or is it loud enough? All that stuff. It's like we went down that road a bit, and the music wasn't as good. The proof is in the pudding. It's always better when you're leading from your heart, and the abstract emotional place.
Is each grouping of questions for each song like the pillar of questions that you choose for each song, are they drastically different in terms of how you get to a yes on a decision?
I think a yes just hits you, right? It grips you. Um, and then there's this horrible like space of like the maybe yes, and like you're trying to convince yourself that it's a yes. Whenever that happens, like it's a no, right? Um, it's not a fuck yes, it's a fuck no. Like that's what they say. And in music, I think that's really much the case. Like your nervous system should just be so loud with affirmation when the sound is right, when the lyric is right, when the song is right.
On Make Believe, you say, I believe in make believe. I don't believe in what they believe, but I believe. If you were to go back to sort of the genesis of the song, is it about staying connected to wonder in a world that pushes cynicism in a way?
Yeah, I think that's a cool way to put it. Um, like I used to be so worried about like being smart, or appearing smart, probably because like the insecure part of me knew I was stupid. And now it's like, yes, I'm stupid. Like, I don't know anything. Um, and the older I get, like, the better that feels. And the more I realize that the utility of magic and wonder and awe and the mystery makes life better. Not knowing everything makes life better. And not being righteous, you know, not thinking, like the moral code, um, the truth to reality. And so for me, it's just something that I continue to work on. It's not even like I believe in magic. I just choose to act as though I believe in magic. It's like a mind trick. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you find yourself with this realization saying, I don't know more often than you did before?
Or I don't care. Like, we don't get to prove a lot of stuff, and so I don't care, you know, to know. I'm more like seduced by the mystery
Mm.
of not knowing. But yeah, certainly, I don't know anything. Um, that's how I feel.
One of the most vulnerable sounding tracks is On and On, Song for Jasmine. And you mentioned Jasmine earlier in the conversation. I find that with that song, the sonic restraint is very powerful. What made you want to write a song for Jasmine, and how did it come together?
Well, yeah, Jasmine and I, we have a long history. Um, Began as a romance, and then over the years, it has evolved into like this very deep, beautiful, best friendship. Um, and in 2020, her dad died suddenly, and I was given the task of letting her know this in person on a given Sunday morning. And I was quite like rocked by the news. I was very close with her dad, sweetest guy in the world, and I was like, "Fuck, I gotta go to Jasmine's house and like tell her this. I can't even like keep it together." So I get there, and she is bright and cheerful as ever as she opens the door, and like she's poaching eggs. Like, these little details stand out. And I just remember like looking at the white froth of the eggs poaching in the pot, just like kind of like, okay. She's like, "What's wrong?" And you you tell her this news, and the energy in the air like just changes so potently. And then you both kind of like crumble into like weeping, and it's this the moment, right, that you know makes you feel quite alive. Anyway, so this whole chapter of time was really like awake, and the friendship was really strong, and it was deepening. And I just picked up a guitar one day, and this song, I think, just came out as a response to all that was going on. It wasn't so much like I want to write a song for Jasmine. It's never like that. It's like life is happening, it's potent, or it's not. It's something, and then the song is a response to what's going on in life. And ideally, you're like out of the way of that transaction. So that was very much the case.
What did she say to you after she heard it?
He's just like a little like embarrassed, like, oh, kind of like maybe laughed it off a bit. I sent her like a little voice memo of the song on her birthday.
I wasn't going to ask this question about finger, but I just have to ask the finger in the butt thing. Where did that come from?
um, well, it's like a really old song. It's like the oldest song. It's like predates Verbatim. Um, I don't know, man. Like I say, like you just pick up a guitar. You're 21. You're brazen. You're cocky. At that time, my psyche and my creative process came together to produce a lot of like wacky lyrics. and just bold stuff. Um, you can hear it in all those early songs. It's just who I was at that time and how it coalesced with songwriting. So I wasn't thinking about anything. It just came out and it had like a certain charge. And then we would play it at like a very small venue in Vancouver with like 50 people. And the room would kind of like light up. People would like, gasp, laugh, hoot, holler. I was like, oh, this song has some energy. It's what you want. It creates a reaction. But we never produced it because it was sort of like, it's a little weird. It's a little too much. And then when we were, contemplating this album, Nostalgia, like, fuck it, let's take a chance on that old song in the spirit of nostalgia, right? Why not?
Yeah, that one kind of shocked me a bit because like my brother would do this weird thing where like if I'm like walking up the stairs, he just it's like a Korean thing where you kind of do this and you like jam fingers up the butt and it's a shocker. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it reminded me of.
So the song was like triggering.
Yeah, totally. You've written so much over the years. It seems like in the music there is still a maintenance of that childlike spirit. How have you been able to maintain that over the years as you mature?
I mean, I think it's just like a muscle. Like you have to be creative as a practice. I do. And I mean, for me now, the motivation to be creative is not because like, so I can write songs. It's to like be happy, um, which has been a huge revelation. It's like I do this for the joy of the process, not for the outcome. That is so like abundantly clear now. Um, so like today, it's 10:30 a.m. I got a day left. Hopefully, if all goes well, right? I don't get wiped out by like a piano that falls from the sky. Um, I'm gonna take some time to be creative for the sake of being creative, not to write a mother song, but to find some joy. Um, and that says it all, I think.
We're at the last question of the main interview section, Ryan, and I just want to thank you again for being so willing to share, transparent, and as you know, we are a platform that has a mandate to educate the next generation of music creators. So, for aspiring songwriters, artists who look up to you, what advice would you give them?
I think create to make yourself happy. Um, I think the most viable song is the song that like makes you cry, gives you goosebumps. Like if you should be motivated to stir your own soul, not other people's. And then the irony is that the more you exclude other people from your process and prioritize your own reaction, the more likely they're going to like it. So there's an irony there. That's beautiful. It's like, what a relief. I don't have to worry about them. And in doing so, I serve them.
You had signed a major label deal at some point along the way. Were there those growing pains in terms of the people above kind of saying, okay, I think your sound and your motivations and they should be a certain way because this is what's happening currently? Has it gotten to the point where there's more of like, okay, we're just gonna like back off and let you guys do your thing?
I mean, those voices were there from the very beginning in indie label. I think there's this idea that indie labels are like pure. Everyone's trying to make money, um, and if your product is not um, engaging the marketplace, then you start asking yourself, how can we change it so that it will? That was always taking place from the very as soon as we signed any deal. Um, so I think really the onus falls on us for how much we listen to that along the way. Um, and I think there were varying degrees of that. Um, and I'm so grateful that all that's over. That conversation, it's just such a it's a nowhere conversation. How can we change who we are so people like us more? It's like that is that's not a good road to go down, whether that's music or personal. How can I turn me up? That's the question. How can I find what's unique about me and water that like a plant and then give that to the world? Like that's the way. And luckily for us, like 15 years down the road, it was all that music that was like so authentic and so genuine and so unfettered by uh, modification that went viral. And so then the label was like, sweet, just be you. Clearly that's the thing that works. Um, so yeah, at this point, there's no like, there's zero conversation about like how we should change in order to be more viable.
Does that give you confirmation seeing those songs go viral and just kind of looking back like, yeah, we were ahead of our time and we were doing things right from the beginning. It just took time for people to get it.
Yeah, I mean, it. I don't know if we were ahead of our time. It definitely feels like we were doing things right. Yeah, it was confirmation of that, um, which is not overthinking, right? Like I had a magnet on my fridge for years. Thinking is the death of creativity. It's true. It's true. And at the beginning, you're just too like in the romance of young love, the honeymoon phase. So you're not thinking. It's all passion, and so you're writing songs from that place. And yeah, it's a very special orb. It's why music is great at the beginning of a lot of artists and bands' career. Not to say that we didn't go on to make great music. I think we did, and I think we're making some of our best music today. But there's a bit of a full circle. Um, there's a return to a sensibility that has taken time. You have to get lost to get found. Bit of that.
Ryan, I've had such a good time chopping it up with you and exploring your space and everything. But we're kind of getting short on time here, so I just want to get the rapid fire round in. Rapid fire round number one: what DAW do you use and why?
Pro Tools, because I learned on it and I'm too lazy to learn Logic or Ableton.
Favorite plugins that you enjoy using?
I like Sketch Cassette and that Fender, like Deluxe UAD amp plugin. I put it on like vocals. I put it on almost everything that's not a guitar.
Awesome. What's a sound that always brings you joy?
Train noise.
Rank yourself out of 1 to 10 on the following music creator skill sets. Number 1, beat making.
God, -2. Um, not a beat maker. 4.
Lyric writing.
It's hard. -100. 8.
Sound design.
6.
Mixing.
2.
Top lining.
Top lining. I don't know. You write a melody
Yeah,
on
like
top of a
the vocal.
track.
Yep.
Oh, probably pretty good at that. 9.
Music theory.
6.
Arranging.
Ranging. 6.
What is your facial expression when you know you've made some heat?
Probably like the furrow just deepens. Angry.
Morning or night studio sessions. Why?
Well, if I'm creating, probably the night. It's darker. It's more romantic. It's a little more dangerous in the night. Take more risks. But if I'm like comping a vocal, morning.
What's something about the music business you wish you knew at the start?
That no one knows what they're doing. And if anyone has anything to say about making the music more viable at the expense of your authenticity, they're wrong. That is not any advice to heed.
If AI took over our jobs as music creators, what would you do instead?
I don't know if this is a job. I'd just be like a wandering uh, poet photographer.
You'll walk the earth. Would you like and get
Yeah,
into adventures?
definitely. I mean, I'm going to do that anyway. But yeah, I don't know if that's a job. I'd make a lot of like photo books
Mm,
with like, little pithy poems besides the photos. I should probably do that anyway.
yeah. I mean, that sounds like a job to me.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, Ryan, we made it. Thank you again for taking the time out. I thought this was an amazing conversation. You've been so great, and I love the background noises that I'm hearing from out of your window. I'm hearing some birds.
Hopefully,
I'm hearing some birds now, I think.
yeah, it's awesome here. Railtown, Vancouver. It's robust with soundscape. I'm always hanging my phone out the window and recording stuff.
What's next for you and Mother Mother? Anything you want to promote or share with the Sonically community?
Yeah. Well, I think Mother is writing new music, and we have like a few studio dates booked to like do various things. So like more music is coming down the pike in the not so distant future. And meanwhile, I'm working on a solo album, which is very different than Mother. There's a lot of like birds and trains and stuff.
Are most of those coming from out of your window?
Well, like on tour, I really get into the field recording,
Mm,
like various sirens around Europe
wow,
and birds, and like I'll surreptitiously record buskers and then like chop their shit up and then make weird loops and tuck it into the track.
so cool. Well, I'll
Yeah, I love it.
definitely look forward to that. And they're telling me time's up, so I want to thank you once again for being on the show. I think a lot of what you said is going to go a long way for a lot of people, and we'll look forward to catching you on tour and looking out for any new works down the line from you and the band.
Thank you, Elmo. Appreciate it. Really enjoyed this. Thank you.